everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I am your host, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
Terrence is on assignment this week. My voice is hanging on for dear life this week. We don't have a question of the week this week. We're flying by the seat of our pants.
Yeah, it's a different day.
Right.
This is weird, man.
It's Tuesday. It's a goddamn miracle I was able to resist the temptation to start playing Curse of Osiris.
I mean, the only reason I didn't is because the download didn't start.
Right. So, but we're gonna have a fun time. We're gonna have a good show. Lots of shit came out this week. We get to laugh at EA a little bit, as we are wont to do. Is it me, or did like last week's episode feel like it took place a year ago?
Yeah, it does kind of feel well, it's because we didn't have shit to talk about last week, right?
Yeah, but I looked at the doc and I'm like, I feel like this stuff happened so long ago.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
So, you haven't played anything new, have you?
No, I haven't played anything new. You know what I was doing? I was playing Destiny, getting ready for this expansion pack, trying to farm as many legendary crystals as I possibly can.
I started playing Gran Turismo Sport, and then I stopped playing Gran Turismo Sport. I didn't play enough to speak on it to give any kind of impressions, but that is not a game for me.
Yeah, you're not a sim racer, are you?
I mean, I like the Gran Turismo series, but the way this one is designed, like, you have to be a huge Gran Turismo fan
to like we always complain about 2K being hyper complicated. Like, I just want to throw a ball through a
right down to the way the menus are laid out. They are the most incomprehensive with the tiniest font menus that I've ever seen in my entire life. And you don't like scroll them like you normally would with a menu. You have to like move a cursor around the screen. It's bizarre.
Oh, I don't like that.
No. And there's the campaign is all license quests, and there's like 60 of them. And most of the action, like, they really do just want you to play online. I'm like, I can't do all this shit. I can't do all this. So I deleted that shit. So I would have liked to talk about it. And I started playing Warframe just to check it out, but I didn't really play that enough to talk about it. And I downloaded Fortnite Battle Royale, but that's gonna have to wait because Destiny 2 is about to become a thing again. Yeah. Real quick housekeeping: if you have not signed up for premium content, do us a favor and go to densepixels.com/premium. Sign up today for just $5 a month or $50 for the entire year, so that you get access to our premium slate of shows, which includes the Airing of Grievances, Jay and Micah's Seinfeld themed podcast, the Look Forward Political podcast, usually starring Jay and Andy. You can check out the first hour of that every week for free on a separate feed. No Time to Bleed, our monthly action movie podcast, and the Men with the Golden Tongues, Micah and myself's James Bond long form movie review podcast. So again, $5 a month, $50 for the whole year. densepixels.com/premium. You also get weekly video episodes in the Interpocalypse podcast as part of that as well. And then if you have not been to our YouTube channel, that is youtube.com/densepixels. While you're there, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon if you want to get notifications from when we do post new videos. You get this podcast in video format every single week on that channel. You also get Let's Plays. You also get any game reviews that we do. I'm sure I will have some Curse of Osiris stuff up this week as well. One can count on that. This week, new releases. There's actually, for a December release date, there are quite a few games that are coming out this week, or expansions. Steep, Road to the Olympics, a new expansion for Steep, is releasing.
I did not know that game came out.
That game came out last year.
Last year? Are you serious? Like,
yeah.
2016?
Yeah.
Wow. I did not.
And now it's getting an expansion.
That game was absolutely not on my radar whatsoever.
I think it did. I mean, I guess it did well enough if they decided to do an expansion for it. I don't know anyone that plays it. So
yeah, wow. Yeah, literally last year.
Yeah,
December 2nd.
Like, it's been out for an entire year, and you can get like a complete collection that has the base game and the expansion at retail stores. Speaking of complete editions, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete Edition released today. That has both the main game and the Frozen Wilds DLC. included for $49.99. If you somehow missed Horizon, I would definitely recommend getting that.
That's a deal.
Dead Rising 4, Frank's Big Package, released on PlayStation 4. Of course, it was exclusive on Xbox One for a year, and now it is out on PlayStation with all of the downloadable content that is available for the game.
That game series is overrated.
Yes, it is. I've never played one before, and I never really felt the need to.
Don't bother. It's very overrated.
Oh, I'm not going to.
It's American Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. And then The Walking Dead, a Telltale series collection. So this is the first 3 Walking Deads, and I'm assuming 400 days, compiled into one collection. It seems weird calling this a series collection, though, considering that they're going to release a 4th and final season at some point next year. But hey, there you go. So if you missed all the Walking Dead Telltale games, you can check those out. Oh, I did start playing Batman Season 2. And the first episode was pretty cool. They got you at the end, like they always do. Those motherfuckers. Said Amanda Waller coming up beside you and dropping a bomb on you. You're just like, whoa, shit! Like, what the fuck's gonna happen now?
Man, I got to get back into that series because I really liked. I've only played one episode of the first season.
The first season is so much fun, and like I said, so like the first episode of the second season was really good. Some major things happen in this first episode of the second season.
All right,
for sure.
I gotta get into it.
On the digital side, PlayStation released their PlayStation Plus games for the month of December. It's a lackluster offering, I gotta say. Headlined by Darksiders 2, the definitive edition for PlayStation 4. Kung Fu Panda, Showdown of Legendary Legends is also free.
So I think that the makers of Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition, they named it that just to troll people with a lisp.
Well, I mean, the first one is called the War Mastered Edition, if you remember.
Which doesn't make sense.
Not at all.
What is a War Master? Like remastered? Okay.
Yeah.
But no. You might as well. It would have made more sense to call it Darksiders War, What Is It Good For Edition.
If you like the name, Micah, you'll also enjoy the PlayStation blog post where they say it is instantly playable and sure to make this a Deathcember to remember.
Okay.
How that wasn't the name of an ECW pay-per-view back in the day, I'll never know. On PlayStation 3, you also get the Siberia Collection and X-Blaze Lost: Memories for free as well. And I didn't post it in the show notes. Polygon did a pretty good comprehensive look at both the free games that PlayStation offered this year and that Xbox offered this year. And really kind of broke them down comprehensively in terms of how much value, Metacritic scores. They broke down month by month. They compared the two. So it's pretty cool. Check it out if you get a chance for that. The Destiny 2 Curse of Osiris expansion releases today as well. You'll hear a little bit more about that later. Look, I don't normally put themes in the release section because why the fuck would you? But there's a new PlayStation 4 theme that's coming out tomorrow, which does bear mentioning because basically this company, in cooperation with Sony, made a theme that mimics the PlayStation 2 menu with sounds and everything. And it looks pretty cool. Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
It's very neat. $3. I'm probably gonna buy it because I'm a sucker. But yeah, so that's coming out this week. Also, an expansion for The Surge called A Walk in the Park. I'm surprised that game is getting an expansion, but that's cool for fans of The Surge. A Hat in Time, a 3D platformer that many folks have been looking forward to. Critically praised, coming out on both PlayStation and Xbox. Hello Neighbor. This is a stealth horror game with a very strange aesthetic. I think it's been available on Steam. It's coming out on Xbox One. Basically, the game learns how you play it and works against your specific tendencies. So, like, if you sneak in the same window every time, then it'll put a trap there.
Oh,
in future times and stuff like that. So the game kind of adapts to your play style and forces you to do different stuff. It looks pretty cool. Like I said, the aesthetic is goofy as shit. You're basically playing as someone trying to break into your neighbor's house to see what he's got hiding in his basement.
See, this is what independent games need to do,
Mhm.
right? Like this is a fresh idea, and it has a unique art style and a cool concept. Like this is what they need to do, right? Like they don't need to just have a bunch of pixelated squares shooting at another bunch of pixelated squares while pixelated squaring from left to right. You know what I mean?
Now, Micah says this, but he's not going to buy Hello Neighbor.
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no,
why?
not at
No,
all.
no,
But
never.
I will give praise to
Credit where credit is due.
credit where it is due. That's a cool concept, man.
And the entire Jack and Daxter series, including Jack X Combat Racing, is releasing on PlayStation 4 as well. And then pretty big new game announcement from Capcom, of all people, yesterday. Mega Man 11 coming in late 2018. Did you see the trailer?
Yeah, yeah. I saw the because everyone kept talking about Mega Man 11, Mega Man 11. So I said, all right, let me look at this trailer. And the little thumbnail for the trailer is just a random clip from the video. So I'm like, oh, all right, well, it's another 8-bit Mega Man game. But then I actually watched the entire thing, and yeah, it's like, hey, Mega Man finally got a makeover after 30 years.
Yeah, some people aren't digging the 2.5D. I'm fine with it. I think people just aren't digging it because they think it looks too much like Mighty Number 9.
Well, I mean,
that's what a 2.5D Mega Man's going to look like, is like Mighty Number 9. So what are you going to do? It looks cool. Looks like a Mega Man game, which is exactly what you want. One of the cool things with this is not only does his color change when he equips a new power, but his actual the entire appearance will change. That's of Mega Man, which is interesting. And coinciding along that, both Mega Man Legacy collections are coming to Nintendo Switch sometime in 2018, and then there's also going to be a Mega Man X collection with all 8 Mega Man X titles that's coming to all platforms.
Wow,
as
there were 8 of those things?
I know, right? Yeah, there really was. I think 6 of them came out on SNES, and then 7 and 8 came out on PlayStation.
Oh, there was no way I played those. Matter of fact, I think I only played the first 2.
I mean, they used to churn, like those Mega Man games used to come out once every year or 2, basically.
Wow.
So it's just hard to remember because only a couple of them really stick out,
Yeah. So,
but good on Capcom. Going in, I'm actually shocked that Mega Man 11 is happening. I never would have expected them to continue on with that franchise.
Yeah, they kind of left it high and dry, but they need to do something, right? I mean,
see, it's a good point. So we will go right into headlines. PUBG, the phenomenon that has swept the gaming world in 2017. They're developing a mobile version for some reason.
How's that going to work?
For a Chinese audience? I don't know. Tencent, who's the publisher, promises a similar experience on mobile as on PC. So they say.
Similar in terms of like the feeling that you get from playing it, right? Because I can't imagine that the actual human machine interface will feel anything like playing a PC version of this game.
Oh, one can't imagine that at all. So it does.
Curious.
It is going to be curious to see what this is. I mean, this is not a game that needs a mobile edition, I don't think.
No. How about the game come out first? I mean, how about the game be a game first?
I mean, are we ever going to see a game that's not officially released that sold 20 million copies?
I hope not.
Like PUBG has.
I hope not, because I don't like the fact that this has sold so much. Like what are we telling people, right? Like if you just kind of not necessarily half-ass your way through it, but if you just like procrastinate and take your time and like eventually I would want to finish it, right?
Well, I mean, it's not like there's a story. Oh, you mean like as the developer?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously you don't want to work on a game indefinitely.
I don't know. I think they might.
But what does finishing that game mean? Like that's the thing. That game is in such a state of flux all the time. Like they're constantly adding new features to it. Like where do you stop? Like when do you say, okay, that's That's it.
Yeah.
And then what happens to your audience for you? That's a curious case here.
Well,
We have this PUBG.
Whatever they're doing, they're making a lot of money doing it. So
that's also true.
Look, I can't blame them if they want to. If this thing, look, keep doing what you're doing because you're making a ton of money.
Well, especially like again, the mobile version they're really targeting the Chinese market with. So
yeah, all right, whatever.
Forget that. That's we just need to be able to print money from this one game apparently. So so moving on from there. So PlayStation is attempting to do well. Actually, so I should say attempted because an update to the story says that they have shut the program off because they filled the allocation of it. They did a program where you could contact them and they would send you a PlayStation VR bundle to try at home. Basically, you give them a credit card, they put a hold on your credit card, and then they mail you a PlayStation VR. They gave you the Skyrim bundle, which comes with everything basically, plus Skyrim. And basically, you can either decide within 10 days you can return it, or if 10 days goes by and you don't return it, then you keep it. Then Sony charges you for the rest of it, and that's it. And it was only $299 for this bundle. Just to let you know, the Skyrim bundle at retail is $450.
Wow!
So this was a pretty big discount. If you decided to keep the VR, they only opened the promotion up to 1,400 participants, and I'm assuming they hit that quota pretty quickly. But what do you think about trial servicing the PlayStation VR?
I think it's a great idea. Actually, I think it's the only way to explain VR is to show people VR. Like they have to physically do it, because if you look at someone wearing that thing, you look stupid, right? Like my wife said, we're not getting that in this house because that's one more thing that eventually you're not going to play and you look dumb doing it. But for people like me, I've never experienced VR, and I can't imagine. Everyone says it's great, but until I do it, I can't really see myself getting into it. So, but if you are on the fence, this is an excellent deal. I think it's something you can only do with experimental technology like this. Not really experimental, but like technology that is clearly in its infancy, and you need people to latch onto it, because if they don't, like, this thing is going to be it's going to go the way of the plastic instrument, in my opinion. I just don't see it happening. I don't see anybody clamoring for these things. And yeah, this is the best way to get people to actually try one.
I think the biggest problem it has is they don't do a good job marketing the games for it, considering that the games library is primarily on the PlayStation Store. Like, there are very few retail releases. It's getting better because especially Bethesda seems to be supporting it whole hog. But yeah, that's the biggest problem, is that there don't appear to be a lot of games that are available for it, even though there are quite a few games that are available for it. Yeah. But people don't see that because there's a disconnect between, going to buy the PlayStation VR unit in a store and, downloading checking out the PlayStation Store on your console. So I think that's where they're suffering the most. This is a smart idea. I could see them running this program again, especially if the success rate for this one was pretty high. I'm getting that Doom VR soon because I think they're sending me a code for it. I gotta try that when that happens, and I'll report back. See if I did not vomit all over myself playing it. I'm
very interested for that, because Doom is very silky smooth, and it is a locked 60 frames per second. I'm very, very curious. Like, there were people who couldn't deal with one of those Hobbit movies because they were 48 frames per second on a big screen. You know what I mean? Like, I'm very curious to see and to see your experience with that particular game.
We'll see, because like I said, Gran Turismo did not was not a great experience, and that was only one race. So we'll see how it goes. But yes, that was what PlayStation tried, and looks pretty cool. And I realized that I linked the same story twice. So I will quickly ad lib and find the actual story that I'm looking for. Actually, fuck it, I don't even need that shit. So Assassin's Creed Origins, as part of their December update, I'm assuming you have to have the season pass to get this stuff. Nightmare difficulty mode, a horde mode of some kind, and chocobos.
Chocobos. Like, are they real chocobos? Or
yeah, I mean, I guess this is part of the quid pro quo between Ubisoft and Square, because we saw Assassin's Creed shit show up in Final Fantasy 15.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So this is the reciprocating end of it. I don't know how the fuck a horde mode would work. Assassin's Creed.
There is a Coliseum there's two Coliseums that you can partake in, and there waves of enemies come at you, and the Coliseum is filled with certain traps, so you kind of have to avoid the traps. You can get your enemies in the traps, but you have to kill your enemies. And yeah, at first maybe 3 guys will come out, then 6 guys will come out, then 6 more, 3 regular guys, 3 heavy guys, then 6 guys and lions will come out. So
is it fun?
I mean, if you like the combat,
and
the combat is very different from what it used to be. It's all right. It's fine. I can see people getting into it. The thing that's not fun in Assassin's Creed, for me anyway, is those chariot races, those Ben-Hur style chariot races. They stink. They're terrible.
Wait. You mean to tell me that a shoehorned in vehicle section of an Assassin's Creed game is subpar?
It is indeed subpar. Here's how subpar it is. I enjoy the naval battles in Assassin's Creed Origins more than I do the chariot races.
There are naval battles in Assassin's. How does that work?
So you get to play as another character intermittently, and they do not overstay their welcome, those naval battles. But all that character does, that character is on a ship, and that character is traveling from Egypt to like Rome or something like that, and they're being attacked, and you have to take out enemy ships along the way.
What do you use to fight the ships? Like a sling?
they have basically fire bombs. They have fire bombs and flaming arrows. That's what they use.
It sounds like a bunch of nonsense.
And battering rams. You can ram the other ship. That's pretty much it.
So apparently there's gonna be a new post-release boss battle as well. Apparently there's a bunch of gods in Assassin's Creed that you can fight.
Yeah, well. they had one thing where you had the opportunity to fight this like big ass god, right? Like, because it's ancient Egypt, and they deal with the gods of the zodiac, but like the Egyptian zodiac or some shit. I don't know. But there was one event where you could fight one of those things. So, and it seems like they're going to be bringing that stuff back.
Okay. It does seem cool. They do seem to be putting a fair amount of quality content in the game, especially compared to previous Assassin's Creed titles.
Yeah, but you got to pay for some of that too. You better believe you're going to have to pay a pretty penny for that chocobo.
Oh yeah. I mean, you don't think that stuff's part of the season pass though, if you bought the gold edition?
Oh, maybe. But I don't know, because there's a lot of weapons that you can buy with real money that you don't need, but they're there. There's a lot of stuff that you can buy with real money that I don't think you get with the season pass. I don't know. I didn't buy the season pass, but the game is fun, and I'm glad they're supporting it. They should be supporting it. They spent all this time making it, and it's good.
That's good. been a good year for Ubisoft actually so far this year. Also, the Division decided to release an update today as well. For their game seems ill-timed.
Right? Is it the curse of the O'Leary?
And then finally in headlines, a clever streamer got a 24-hour account ban on Twitch for gaming the system and being too smart. So this guy, Adrian Lester, he's from the US, and he was streaming the most recent UFC pay-per-view that happened this weekend. Now, people do that shit on Twitch all the time. The streams get taken down pretty quickly because their algorithm sniffs them out and takes them down. However, what this guy did is while the pay-per-view was going on, he sat like on screen and pretended like he was playing like he was playing UFC, the video game, while the actual and he streamed the entire pay-per-view and got away with it. Didn't get his thing taken down at all.
That's pretty funny, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn funny. Like people will find a way to game a system. And look, that's clever, man. That's clever. That guy's doing the Lord's work. Lord knows I don't want to pay to watch any UFC fight. Like I'll watch it, but I don't want to pay, $50, $60, $70 for it. That's pretty funny though.
That shit's pretty fucking funny. I ain't mad at him. Because who the fuck would think to do that shit?
Right. You can tell he grew up poor, man. Because when you grow up poor, necessity is the mother of invention, and you just got to figure some shit out. And he wanted to help his people out. He wanted to help all his Twitchers or whatever the fuck they're called. Followers.
And I'm also glad that Twitch didn't come down on him too hard. 24-hour ban, okay,
right? Because it's like
I say that's worth all the notoriety that he got.
Right, Twitch is like game respects game. We get it.
So I thought that shit was pretty funny.
That's cool.
All right, well, don't forget while you are holiday shopping, it's getting close. Make sure you use our Amazon link. That is densepixels.com/Amazon for any gifts that you buy for anybody, big or small. The reason you should do that is because you pay the same price, but we get a small percentage of the sale, which helps us pay for overhead costs like equipment, hosting, things we need to keep the podcast running and keep it free. So again, densepixels.com/Amazon. We appreciate all of you guys that have used our link and that continue to use it on a regular basis. We love you. And if you haven't used it, give it a try. It's real easy.
First up, let's talk about Destiny. So it is Tuesday, and the 6 or so gig patch should be downloaded on my machine. So I'm ready. And the Curse of the Osiris first expansion pack came out. Also, a bunch of updates, and we're gonna go over a couple of these.
So what happened, by the way, is they were supposed to do the third Curse of Osiris preview stream last week, and things were boiling over with the community so much between the XP controversy and just general malaise about the game in general, about where the state of the game was. And the problem that Bungie's had is they've been kind of silent about a lot of this stuff.
Mm.
And I guess they felt like they needed to just lay it on the table and just let everyone know what's going on. So they released this blog post that we're going to go over. Also, if you're a big fan, I would highly recommend they released a new episode of the Bungie podcast where they go over a lot of this stuff in depth. They also talk about the XP controversy. And that was a lot of good information in that. And I would definitely say to check that out if you want to get even more detail about the stuff that we're going to talk about right now. Because on the podcast they go into the why, here's why this thing takes so long to fix, and they talk about how even though for us it looks like a simple issue that they just need to flip the switch and fix, on their side it's actually there's a lot of hoops to jump through with certain things.
And isn't that always the case, right? people are like people who armchair quarterback, like, well, why don't you just do this?
Right, like the one that they brought up is that everyone bitches all the time, like the vault is too small, we need more vault spaces. And they're like, sure, we could put out an update real quick that increases the vault space, but what if, when we put that update out, all the shit that's in your vault just disappears?
Right. Then you'd be fucking pissed, right? Like, well, why didn't you just protect it? What?
Right.
People who tell other people how to do their jobs with no rhyme or reason. And look, we all do it, right? We all do it. Oh, I do it every week on the Nerdpocalypse, right? Oh, well, this is why don't they just do this for a movie? And then we're geniuses. No, we're not. We were fucking geniuses, we'd be in Hollywood making money, right? But we recognize it, whereas most of you people out there don't. Anyway, here are the updates coming in December. A new system and rewards to give the most engaged players additional optional pursuits, including a new weapon tier called Masterworks, which will feature stat trackers, random re-rollable stat bonuses, ding, 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 unique item tooltips, and detailed screens, improved vendor rewards, and adding ornaments that grant visual, little visual cues and all that cool stuff to your Guardian.
The vendor rewards is a huge deal because they're finally letting you purchase set items directly from vendors with shards and tokens.
Yes. Thank God.
Including from Lord Saladin for Iron Banner.
Yes. Thank God. Because the random number generator that has always existed in Destiny is, in fact, a racist. Because it doesn't give me what I want. You know how long it took me? I wanted to get a full set of that ghillie suit outfit for my hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally got it. And it took me like a week of just nonstop play. Like, that's the only game that I've been playing this week because I wanted to get it.
Just wait till you get to the Xur update. You're gonna pray to the heavens.
Better incentives for players who complete challenging prestige activities. That's going to be for a January update. Better rewards and replay value for strikes, adventures, and lost sectors.
Including, now, they've only announced this for the Osiris expansion specifically, but I would imagine it's going to come to the regular stuff, including heroic adventures and heroic lost sectors.
Do you play any of those?
What, heroic, the adventures?
Yeah.
I need to, because that's where a lot of the lore is in the game. So the reason that I didn't do a lot of adventures during the game is because the rewards were kind of bullshit.
Right. Hey, here's a green. What?
Right. Like, I don't need that right now. Here's a blue. What the fuck am I going to do with that? You know what I mean? So yeah, I didn't do it throughout the game because I didn't want to get distracted, and I just haven't felt compelled to go back and do them before. But I keep hearing that the little mini stories that you get during them are fucking awesome. So I want to do it for the lore standpoint. The lost sectors are really useless at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
having heroic versions of those will be a welcome addition.
I wonder how that's going to work, because you just kind of enter a lost sector. Like, there isn't like a queuing up point.
They could do it like they could treat it like the public events where there's like a trigger that you have to do in the lost sector that might be like a hidden thing.
Yes.
And then once you do that trigger, it'll jack up the difficulty for the rest of it, but then you'll get better rewards at the end.
That would be nice. That would be very nice. Private matches for the Crucible. They're still targeting that for 2018.
And ranked PvP next year.
Ranked PvP.
Which is something that everyone's been asking for forever.
Which I don't know why it wasn't there in the first place. See, I just did it. I just did what I was complaining to other people about, right? Well, why don't you just turn it on? Like, I just did it. Crucible tuning, like adjusted supremacy scoring and better spawning rules.
I do hope they go back to the old style of supremacy scoring.
Yeah. It was cool. I don't know. Better incentives for completing Crucible matches and penalties for quitting in competitive games. Do you play a lot of competitive games?
No, actually, I don't, because I don't
Yeah.
typically roll with the clan
Yeah, I
in
don't.
those.
I've played. I've played 2 on my Titan and 2 on my Hunter, and that's it.
We do need to get off our ass and actually attempt trials one of these weekends.
Yeah, yeah. Look, I'm game, and
I
I'm.
mean, Amir can drag us to success.
Yeah, he did. He helped us out last time. Help us out again, and we promise not to speak ill of Florida. Continued improvements to Iron Banner and faction rallies, including uniqueness of rewards. So the next Iron Banner and faction rally will introduce improvements in both of these areas. Details to follow. Changes to make the mod economy more interesting and impactful.
Yes. Yes. So the changes they're making to the mod economy. So Banshee will now have a selection that'll rotate every day of specific mods that are available. Good. So if you need the kinetic mod for your kinetic weapons,
thank you.
You can buy them from him. They'll cost a little bit more than a random roll would, obviously. But the other best part about it is that you can now break down your blue mods, and there's a chance, it won't happen every time, but there's a chance that they will give you legendary mod equipped parts as well.
Oh,
so that you can trade those in too.
Thank God.
To help pay for that shit.
Because all the farming and breaking down and
converting and all this stuff,
exchanging and converting and all that nonsense, and
just to get yet another Paragon mod for my chest armor, yet another solar mod for an energy weapon.
Oh shit! Yeah, because that's all I want, right? I just want that kinetic mod. That's it, man. That's it, and maybe some stability, because I roll with auto rifles all the time, so I need a lot of stability. Ongoing improvements to exotics, including adjustments to reduce instances of duplication. Yeah, I'd rather just have no exotic engram spawn than to get yet another of those lion grenade launchers.
Oh, but they improved fighting lion. Does more damage now.
They better.
Still bullshit.
It's still stupid, but that's fine. New ways to spend surplus currency and materials. Players will be able to spend their tokens and legendary shards on a vendor inventory, and Xur will have new items as well.
Will Xur ever? So Xur has 2 new things that he's going to be packing every single week. First is 3 of coins is coming back. It is not stackable. It now, like, you put it works like a fire team medallion now, where you put one on, it lasts for 4 hours. But it basically increased the chances of exotics dropping for shit that you do. So that's what 3 of coins is going to do. However, the thing that Micah will appreciate more than anybody is that once a week per account, you will be able to buy a faded engram for the high price of 97 legendary shards. But that faded engram will guarantee you to get an exotic that you do not already own.
Yes.
In your collection.
Good. So I can finally build up this collection. Stop getting a collection of I have like 4 merciless fusion rifles.
I mean, I have 2. I break them down now when I get them.
Like I don't use fusion rifles. I'll keep one, but whatever. I don't need this. The blog post goes on and details things like what the masterwork of a weapon is. Legendary weapons can be upgraded to masterwork versions, which basically track and display the number of kills and for that particular weapon.
And this is cool too, because if you get a so like these will drop randomly amongst your legendaries now. And so when you get them, you can either keep it, or later on, if you get another, like, you can like break it down and it'll give you like a masterwork token that you can apply towards one of your other legendaries.
Yeah.
So you can you can even use the stuff that you already have and upgrade it that way.
Yeah.
As well.
So that's just a taste of this December update. I'm very interested in digging into this story. Do you have any idea, like, how many missions there are? Like, is it just 5 missions?
I don't know. I don't know exactly how many missions is. However, in looking at preview coverage for it, a streamer that I watch said it is meaty. Like, he's like, don't expect it to be as short as like Dark Below and House of Wolves were.
Was it all right? Wow, if it's not as short as those,
he said it's not quite as long as the Destiny 2 campaign, but it is definitely more robust than the other small expansions that have released before.
I'm perfectly fine with it not being as long as the Destiny 2 campaign.
Yes.
It became a chore the 3rd time I did it. But if it's longer than the what was it, the Iron Lord or some shit like that, the
Rise of Iron. Yeah, that was also like 5 missions and done.
So. Yeah, it was you could finish that in less than an hour.
So a couple other details. And so, by the way, some of these updates will be available now. Some of them will be available next week. Master Raoul will have legendary engrams that he will give you for shards now. Parallax will sell gift consumables that you can use during strikes or crucibles that will grant rewards to everybody in that activity, friend or foe alike, which can be anything from like more faction tokens to a round of exotics for everybody in the match, which would be fucking silly. Here's a nice quality of life change. Vendors will only beckon you to hand in reputation tokens when you have enough to actually pop an engram.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which will actually so they'll disappear from your map if you just have like 1 or 2 that you can hand in.
Oh, good. So basically, you got to have 20 of them before they're like, "Hey, come and
yes."
Me.
So yeah, so like this updates a lot of quality of life improvements, which are welcome. The reaction from the hardcore community has been mixed to be like, "Hey, this is a good start." To some people, be like, "Well, I don't see what this fixes." Blah blah blah, that sort of thing. I like most of the stuff that they've rolled out here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm beyond complaining. I'm too old to be complaining about it like this.
We're all too old to be complaining about this shit.
But a bunch of free quality of life updates. Like, all right, if they were charging you for the shit that you want, then you would complain about it.
And plus, we have a whole new expansion to dig into.
Yeah, people talk a lot of shit. They'll be on. They'll beat the expansion in however long it takes to beat it, and then they'll complain again. So anyway, speaking of complaining, let's talk about EA. So apparently Electronic Arts stock price has been taking a bit of a beating, and many financial analysts attribute that to the clusterfuck debacle that was the Star Wars Battlefront II loot box controversy. One financial analyst, Michael Patcher, said, "I'm quite confident that this debacle will influence EA's future behavior when it comes to microtransactions." Maybe they'll do what they did with this and just not have it for a little bit and then turn it back on. Why don't you just turn it back on?
Did you see what UFC 3 is going to look like?
No.
Oh. So you can upgrade every aspect of your fighter with, guess what? Cards.
Yo.
Cards. To make your fighter better. Want to get a better punch? Want to punch a little bit better, Micah? Here's some cards. And if you don't have enough in-game currency to buy some cards,
yo, fuck. Oh, yeah, they learn nothing. Well,
I mean, to be fair, UFC was probably a little far into the queue at this point. To just blow it up.
Well, why don't they just turn that feature off, though? Why don't they just turn it off?
But still, so apparently they lost Their stock price dropped about $10 a share, which is about $3 billion in market cap.
Jesus.
Now, to be fair, the stock is still sitting $25 a share higher than it was a year ago.
Yeah.
So this, this insanely rich company just got a little bit less insanely rich, but they're still insanely rich.
Yeah.
But still, costing a company $3 billion, 10% of their market cap is not an insignificant thing.
It's enough to give a company pause, I would think, right?
Yes. What I don't like is statements from Blake Jorgensen. There's a white name if I've ever heard one in my entire life. Saying stuff like, quote, the reality is there's different types of players in games. Some people have more money than time, and some people have more time than money. And you always want to balance those two.
Fuck off, dude.
Basically saying we want to make sure that we can let people pay their way into progress if they want to save them time.
And look, if this is like a one-player game or something like that, I'm a little more right. I'm a little more lenient with it. But if it's a fighting game, what could you imagine if Capcom was like, "Hey, you want to do that red fireball?"
Do not give them any ideas. Those fuckers are already charging $10 for a fucking stage already. I don't need them doing like custom, we'll call them ornaments for lack of a better term, on characters.
You want that other V trigger? You got to buy them a la carte.
So this isn't the last we're going to hear of Blake Jorgensen in this podcast.
No, we've got one more Blake Jorgensen quote. So EA is their explanation for why
these fucking guys,
for why Battlefront 2, their loot boxes don't focus on cosmetic items, right? Which don't really do anything, right? Like Destiny, their loot boxes are cosmetic. Overwatch, their loot boxes are cosmetic. This motherfucking Blake Jorgensen, chief financial officer at EA, said that it's not quite so simple in referring to why they don't just have cosmetic changes for characters in their Star Wars Battlefront games. This motherfucker said, well, we want to stay true to the Star Wars canon and keep the realism in Star Wars.
This is the weakest ass fucking excuse I've ever heard in my entire life. I read this and I was just like my eyes could not roll in my head fast enough. And there's two major reasons why using the Star Wars canon as a reason why we can't have customization items in loot boxes instead of progression items falls flat. First of all, Star Wars Battlefront, I don't know if you know, Micah, in the multiplayer is a game where you can have fantasy matchups that are never possible within the Star Wars canon, like being able to have Rey and Emperor Palpatine fighting on the streets of Naboo. We're having Darth Maul fighting up against Han Solo on planet Hoth.
Right.
I don't think those are Star Wars canon very much. And the other reason why it's such a load of shit is because Star Wars Battlefront 1 had customization features in it that you could customize the appearances of the different characters. Cosmetically, by the way.
Oh my God. Blake Jorgensen looks like Eli Manning if Eli Manning was like an executive. Like he's got a perpetual dumb look on his face in every image that I see of him.
And the thing that kills me is that the quote that he throws out there to defend this is that style of argument that throws out like the most extreme case possible to make your point.
Right.
Because he's like, Darth Vader in white probably doesn't make sense versus in black. Not to mention, you probably don't want Darth Vader in pink either. No offense to pink, but I don't think that's right in the canon.
Yeah.
Like, we're not talking about fucking Darth Vader in pink, you idiot.
Right, dummy.
Like we're talking about maybe different helmets for your stormtrooper or your rebel trooper, or, you know, pick whatever, you know, grunt do. Like, no one's saying you have to customize the heroes in the game. And by the way, if you do have a pink Darth Vader skin, who gives a flying fuck?
Who gives a shit? You know why? Because Darth Vader isn't real, guys. Darth Vader, you can make Darth Vader. He could wear the goddamn Dusty Rhodes suit, as far as I'm concerned.
The bad one.
Yeah, man. Like, fuck, who cares, man? Who cares? Like, that's part of the fun, right? Like, to make it your own. That's how you get people attached to something. You know what I mean? This guy, fuck this guy, man. Jorgensen.
I gotta tell you, like, and I'm not normally one to shit on a company widespread over a couple misguided sins, but EA has really done their damnedest to try my patience this year. And Mike, I have to tell you that in the past couple of weeks, it has even dampened my enthusiasm to play my beloved FIFA. Even.
Well, FIFA is such a corrupt organization. I don't know how the hell it's a corrupt organization that has a video game from a stupid ass company. I won't call EA corrupt, but I will call them every other name in the book. I mean, you're right. Like, I remember back in the day, man, EA, like, they were one of the pillars, man. They were one of the pillars. And I just, like, who the hell is Ubisoft? Like, EA, like, that's what you want to, nah, man.
And we used to shit on Ubisoft. And like I said, Ubisoft's on the upswing.
Yeah, man.
They're on the rebound.
Wow.
So they're getting in people's good graces. Tables have turned.
The tables have indeed turned. EA,
but like it is literally to a point where, like, I'm looking down the road to Anthem, and
I'm not into it.
Right?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if I want to be buying all these cards to upgrade, you know, my character in Anthem. I don't know if that's something that I want to do.
Oh man, I just, yeah, I just.
It makes you sad, doesn't it?
It does.
That their taint is over their entire brand.
It's like a washed up movie star, you know, trying to come back and do one more run. Like, oh, we've got one more in the sky. Like, no, man, nah, you got too greedy. You got too greedy, man. You were living the high life in the 90s, right? And you were snorting coke off of hookers' asses and shit. And then you kept getting too greedy. You were snorting your own supply.
And can you imagine how greedy you have to be greedy in the video games industry? the level of greed that's necessary for people to be like, yo, you're being too greedy. Too greedy. I mean, 2K got fucking lit up for how they rolled out. Like, they have to be the happiest motherfuckers in the barn right now.
Yeah.
It was like, man, like fucking, I was like, man, EA took all that heat and just moved it right over there. And now we're just sitting pretty, collecting our VC money, hand over fist. Said Activision too. Said Destiny 2.
Remember when Activision was literally like, they literally called Bobby Kotick the devil.
But they still are. It's just that they're just like, yeah, we're the devil. It's fine. Like, but here's all these games. I mean, here's Blizzard stuff, and here's Destiny, and here's Call of Duty. We're terrible, but look at these games. People are like, yeah, you're pretty bad, but at least I know you're bad.
Oh,
Meanwhile, fucking Blake Jorgensen's over here, be like, well, we don't want Darth Vader in pink now, do we? That's why we had to tie your level progression behind all microtransactions.
That shit doesn't make sense. Like, that shit just doesn't make sense.
Like, pick a reasonable fucking scenario there, guy. No one's asking about Darth Vader in pink again.
Good God.
What a fucking lame ass excuse.
That is a GOP pundit excuse if I've ever heard it.
It really
well, what
is.
about Bill Clinton's womanizing? Huh? I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, but what about Activision, guys?
That's about all they need to do to just complete the cycle of this. Well, I'm serious. Like just you wait until they get shit on again for UFC, and they'll be and all of a sudden the one about is, well, what about what NBA 2K is doing as far as making you basically pay to level up your character? Nobody complains about that.
Oh shit! You've reached. You've exhausted every lie that you possibly can when whataboutism comes into play.
I don't think you'll see that actually happen because these companies tend to not shit on each other because they work together too much.
Right? Like they all go to lunch together.
Right.
It's like Marvel and DC. Marvel and DC don't give a fuck what we think. They out here making money hand over fist.
But yeah, but that's all that EA needs to do though, is just throw that out there next time. Oh, we're not charging you for expansions here at the Star Wars Battlefront, so what's the big deal? Jackasses.
Anyway,
well, that is our show this week. So next week we will give you our full. It's gonna be a good show because Mike and I are gonna talk about Curse of Osiris bunch, and then we are gonna break down the Keeleys.
Yes,
and the whole show and all the winners. Will Jeff Keighley be able to contain himself when he sees his BFF, his bae, Hideo Kojima?
Will he,
based on his Twitter reaction? Probably not. Just let you know.
Not. Will he do a wardrobe change from before Kojima and then post Kojima?
Let me tell you this, Jeff, it is going to be what we call a dark suit day for Jeff Keighley. It's going to be a dark suit day for Jeff Keighley next week.
Will he faint because all the blood will rush from his head to his penis?
Will Jeff Keighley's introduction of Hideo Kojima exceed any introduction for any other awards presenter on the show, or for any presentation of any awards on the show? That's a good question. What misplaced musical group will be made to perform at the show, and what trailers will we see, and who will be shafted when it comes to the awards? We'll talk about all that next week. Even though it's only been 2 years, I've grown to love our Keeleys wrap up show.
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to it.
Look, I'm a whore for any award show, and even the Keeleys, man, even the Keeleys.
And Terrence will hate it. He'll be a huge wet blanket on the whole thing.
He won't even watch it.
He won't. He'll
watch
just react.
It. And this is going to be his reaction for most of it. Okay.
So don't forget, if you're not in our Facebook group, go to densepixels.com/fans and get in there. Lots of fun discussion happening every day. Leave us a 5-star review on iTunes if you've not done so yet. We will read it on the air if you do. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter at densepixels. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play Music, or YouTube, or any other podcatcher that you use. I am on Dense Pixels Brad on Twitch. Look for me to stream some Curse of Osiris stuff this week. Terrence is Apparition 410. Micah is Dense Black Nerd. Maybe he'll figure out how to work his Twitch machine.
By hopping on to your game.
That's a good point.
You'll see me on Twitch.
Yeah, that's about the only way that you're going to see Mike on Twitch. And Carrie is Sup It's Carrie. And yeah, that is all. So we will see you guys next week. Till then, toodles.